Tell us a bit about that. Like, where did you grow up?
Growing up, not born, right? So growing
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Okay.
growing up. Yeah.
So I grew up in Kabwe, to just keep it short. I traveled a lot because my parents were in the army. So grew up in Kitwe, and then when my parents retired, I started living with my older sister and her husband, who was also in the army. So ended up in Kabwe. So I always say Kabwe is my village. So if you ask me, I come from Kabwe.
Okay, cool. And where'd you go to school?
I started school in Kitwe, then moved to Lusaka. When my parents retired, I moved to Lusaka, and then we moved back to Mufulira for about, I think, a year and a half, and then eventually ended up in Kabwe. So I was there from grade 6 until grade 12, and then went to college in Kitwe, and then the rest I'll tell you later.
Okay, cool. And I remember seeing you on TV. Like, I learned to read from watching you. Yeah. So tell us about that. The TV anchoring must be really exciting, eh?
It was. I mean, news anchoring was really nice. It's something I always wanted to do. And it started by chance. I don't know if, people remember Tukia Mbaya. And, I used to see Tukia Mbaya walking. I always say that if I ever make a lot of money, I will have to write a check to Tukia Mbaya, because I think she helped me. So every time Tukia Mbaya would walk past our house, I would run to the gate and I'd wave to her, Tukia. So one day she asked me, she said, you seem very friendly. Don't you want to be on TV? It's like, me? Yes, I want to be on TV. Who doesn't want to be on TV? So she told me about the auditions, that they were auditioning for continued announcers at the time. And so, she told me, you've got to wear bright colors and that sort of thing. So I went for the auditions, and I was so super prepared, and then I got the job. And but the news anchoring came later, so I was a continued announcer for a long time. I think I finished school in '91. Then I started continued announcing, which is being on TV, from '92. And then news anchoring was actually by accident, and a lot of us at ZNBC end up reading the news by accident. Okay. There was a time when they used to have dual casting. They have it now, but at one point it was dual casting, then it was just one person reading the news, and somebody didn't pitch up. So you always had to be ready. So the younger people like myself, all we were in charge, what we were allowed to do was just to read the late bulletin when everybody's sleeping, kind of. So when somebody doesn't pitch up, they kind of like call you, can you come and stand in and help? So that's what happened. So by chance, somebody didn't pitch up, and they asked me, can you come and read? I said, yes. So I read the news. And then the next day, my supervisor wrote a letter congratulating me. I said, you did a fantastic job. So I said, okay, good. Then the following week, I didn't see my name on the roster. So I said, but the nation, as far as they are concerned, I'm now elevated to the position of a news anchor. So I have to be on the news desk. And that is how I ended up being a permanent feature, and I read for 22 years.
Wow, 22 years. Wow, that's amazing. Eh? Oh, cool. That is amazing.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So there's the work, yeah, your career, like you said, it's awesome, 22 whole years. And then there's the entrepreneur side. When did that start?
A short or long version?
I want the long version. We have time.
Okay. The entrepreneur side it was just like, I think I got a big nudge into it. It wasn't something, I know people come up and say, I always dreamt of being an entrepreneur. I used to sell this and that when I was at school. No, I wasn't. I know I wasn't academically strong. However, I know that I was very creative. So in '95, I'm going to try and be as candid as possible, because
Okay.
like a lot of people in my life are intertwined with my business, so I've got to be as candid as possible for you to appreciate my story. So in '95, after I got married, my husband at the time said, you don't need to work, you need to stay at home. There's really no need to. And for sure, what I was earning was more than what I was spending, And so he says, no, I'll pay you to stay at home, and which is good. I mean, he provided, he was a provider, so he provided. But it's, in the long run, like 6 months later, you kind of like feel your self-esteem is kind of like diminished, your pride, because every day you're going to this person and asking for money.
Every day.
Well, kind of. You know, as a woman, you need money, okay? So, yes, as a woman, you need money. As a woman, you need money. So, let me just...
A lot, eh?
To put it in context, so for you to understand how eventually you realize you need your own money. Imagine going to your partner and saying, I need money to buy lotion. Okay? Yes, it's giving you an allowance, but literally you're asking for money to buy lotion for yourself. And you're a grown-up. So to me, I felt it didn't make sense for me to be asked. I wanted to be financially independent. And so we had this conversation. I needed to have my own money and, you know, at least just my own money. And you know, here in Africa, especially in Zambia, we have extended family. Okay, so somebody comes from the village, you've got to give them something. You can't keep going, even they get tired. You can't keep going to your partner and say, oh, Bamayo came, I need to give 100 kwacha. Then you've traveled, and you know with us, especially for me anyway, when you've traveled, wherever you've gone, yes, you buy for yourself, but then you always have this long list. That one, that one, that one. Which partner is going to accept it? Come on. At some point, it becomes tedious. Okay? So I wanted to be financially independent. So the entrepreneur side came in, and then he said, okay, then what do you want to do? Because you're not going to go back, you know, to go and read news. I mean, you can go back to reading news, which I did, but on a part-time basis. He says, but the money you're making is not enough. So he encouraged me to get into business, and I thought, what can I do? I thought, okay, you know what, I'll get into tailoring.
He actually encouraged you to get into business?
He did. You know, on that one, I'll give him 100%. He actually, you need to have, I think some of these businesses or ventures, whatever you want to get to, it's nice to have someone to encourage you, someone to believe in you. You know, you can fail, but at least somebody believed in you, and you dared to dream. I think that is very, very important, and you take the risk. So I started as a tailor. I had a tailoring shop in my garage. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was okay for a while because, you know, you'd go to somebody's office and you tell them, I'm Namakau. Oh, Namakau from TV. Yes. What can you do for us? Oh, we can do this. I tried to do a bit of training so that at least I would have that understanding of what was going on. But the whole thing failed. The reason is I didn't know how to sew properly.
Okay.
I was solely dependent on my tailors. So what would happen is the tailor doesn't pitch up. That's it. Everything comes to a standstill. And that was, for me, a big lesson. So obviously, we folded shop. There was no way we had to fold up. And went back again to asking.
Asking from the husband? Oh, okay.
Asking. And so obviously, for lotion. Yeah. Okay, I think let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. So went back to asking for lotion. Okay. And obviously now the lotion needs now became more. You know, we had elevated. We're now using Clinique and other, you know, other brands. So the bill got higher. So anyway, so then he said, look, you can't, you know, what are you going to get into this time? So I said, okay, give me time. Let me see.
Okay.
And then at that time, honestly, I think I was in my early 20s because I got married when I was 21, 22. Okay. I had no idea what market analysis was and all that. But I said, okay, I'm good with my hands. That I know. And I want a service industry that I'm going to be involved in. So he said, what? I said, a hair salon. How? So what I told him, I said, look, the only way I can do this is to be different. I didn't know things like differentiation, and I didn't know. All I just said is I wanted something different.
But you kind of felt the need to find out like a niche sort of.
Yes.
Like, is that something that you say you learned from the previous?
It's something I learned. What I learned from my previous experience in tailoring is that I didn't know the trade. And that's why it failed. So I started looking around. I said, okay, I think I want to do a salon, right? So then I said, how many salons are there? At that time, I think we had very few, but also they were upmarket, but mostly they were attending to Caucasians.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Very few were upmarket. Were attending to ethnic, hair. Oh. Ethnic hair. So I said, I think there's a gap here. This is where I'm going to get into. So when I started talking to the hairdressers, you know, to ask them to join, you know, where people give you an attitude, all right? Yeah, I can come, but I'm going to charge you so much. So I realized, all right, first of all, if I'm going to get into this business, I need to know how to do the thing. And also the social circle, my husband and I, the social circle that we're in, I could hear comments like, oh, these Zambians, they don't know how to do hair. And, you know, so I realized, okay, this is a specialized trade. You just don't wake up and say, I'm going to cut somebody's hair. So I decided I was going to go to the UK. The same things that we're talking about and saying they didn't have anyone to do their hair. So I said, I'm going to come and do your hair.
Okay.
So I packed my bags and I went to Scotland and I learned how to cut hair, Caucasian hair, not black hair. The reason is anybody can do black hair, more or less. Okay, it's kind of like trial and error. You can kind of like do, because we're so many here in Zambia, but there are very few. And also remember the attitude that I got from the hairdressers when I was trying to get them, the ones that can do Caucasian hair.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, no problem. And also because, okay, trade secrets now. Don't tell anybody. Okay, but you see, the thing is that Caucasians are very few. There are many, but they're very few.
Okay, so minority in
Charge
the market.
more.
Okay. So charge more for...
Of course, it's a specialized trade.
Okay.
So I realized the money was going to come in from the Caucasians. And then the ethnic clientele, that was going to be our volume. You charge them less. The reason is they have an alternative. So I came in with, I went to a very prestigious school. So when I walked into, when I opened the salon, I came back into Zambia and we set it up. And then I said, I am black. I'm a Zambian. I am not going to have a salon for Caucasians only. Where am I going to go? So there was a need to have an upmarket salon for both Caucasians and ethnic. And that is how Salon Namel came. And I was there. We started, I remember my daughter was 2 weeks old and I was there cutting hair. In the beginning, it took me forever to cut, but then eventually I picked up on speed. But I was there on the floor cutting. And if I may quickly add, that trade, learning how to cut hair, has actually helped me live and sustain my business for 17 years. We'll be clocking 18 years in October.
Wow. That is amazing. Cutting Caucasian hair.
Yes. Well, now I don't do it. Now I don't do it as often. But look, when you think about it, everybody needs to have hair done. Like now I don't do it as often, obviously, because I've branched off into something else. I'm always trying to find. I'm a Gemini, so I'm always getting bored very quickly and trying to do something different.
So what are we doing now?
What we're doing now is we're moderating at an international level.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
wait. What does that mean?
Okay.
What is moderating?
That's what you're doing
right now.
When you get to ask, that's why I was saying this is so wrong. I should not be answering questions. So anyway, so I the panel discussions, high-level panel discussions, I'm enjoying that because there's a lot of reading. You just don't go there and it's like you and I, would have this conversation. What I like about it is that it's stimulating and like I've done with FDB, and they throw you into the deep end. You're talking about agriculture, you're talking about economics. I remember the last one I had to do with the Standard Chartered Bank, and I think there's a lady called Razia Khan who came and she's talking about the economy. You and I always say GDP, right?
Yeah.
But okay, GDP. That's
what is that?
Exactly. So I had to sit. I'm like GDP. So you had to go into your dictionary or Google and like, oh, so this is what it means. So when the finance minister is talking about budget deficit, we just talk about budget deficit. But what is it? So I'm now enjoying. I've been doing international moderating. When I say international moderating, is because now I'm being called to go and moderate in out of Zambia, and recently I had to go to India to go and moderate. So that's just something I'm really absolutely enjoying. But what I'm trying to push now, the agenda I'm trying to push, is the public relations consultancy.
That's Ndangwa.
That's Ndangwa, yes.
Okay.
Using my media experience as well as PR, which I branched into about 4 years ago. Yeah.
Awesome. That is a great story. Eh? Yeah. So now we find that you've told us about your growing up and a bit about your school, and then you told us about your starting with your entrepreneurial journey and how you had to find the niche. Yeah, I'm trying to keep you from interviewing me. I have to be watchful for that. Yeah. So how do you get to be so hardworking and be in business for 22 years and manage that with family, kids, and that how do you do that?
I think the simplest answer I can give is you have to have a solid support base. Eventually one of them suffers, but you have to have a solid support base. For example, when I went to do my master's in public relations and strategic communication, I had a very small window period in which to do it. And I had to make that decision very quickly because my little son at the time was in nursery. So I said, once he goes into grade 1, I knew there was nowhere I was going to go because there's things like homework, aftercare, and that sort of thing. Then my daughter, who's now doing her A-levels, she was in year 11 at the time, and I knew that I needed to support her when she goes into grade 12. The reason is, looking from my experience, I had to look after my older sister's kids when she had gone away, and it really took its toll on me. I think at the time I was about 18, and I had to look after her, her children. You know these things in the family, you have to do it. So I just told myself, if I have to do this, I have this very small window period in which to go to. And eventually, I hope we can get to the story of how I eventually left, how you don't burn bridges. I hope I can get to that. Yeah. Anyway, so I took off, and I left my little son with my husband. And, he encouraged me. He said, go and do it. Because I remember I used to tell him, I said, look, I got this fantastic consultancy. So I said, I got this fantastic opportunity with a degree. We talked about education. So from secondary school, I did a diploma, and then I stayed at home and did business. And then after that, I decided to take myself back to university and did a degree in communication. Then I got this huge job where I was managing the Matani group of companies. So I always told myself, and I'm always pushing myself, and I'm always talking to myself and saying, if you can do this, why can't you? If this is happening, couldn't you do better? I'm always trying to challenge myself like that. So, so then I needed to do my master's, and I said, okay, how do I do it? So he encouraged me. He says, no, I'll stay behind with the child.
Wow.
And to me, honestly, doesn't matter the differences that we have or me experience, to have somebody say, go, and I'll stay home and look after the children, a small toddler. You can't, yes, there are men like that who can do it, but they're very few.
Okay.
They're very few. And I think I was very, very lucky at the time that, I could do that. So family, yes, you need to have a very good support base. And how I've lasted, for example, 17 years.
Yes, 17 years.
In the salon business, I owe it to my staff.
Okay.
Oh, they shouldn't hear this. They'll ask for bonuses.
Yeah. No, we'll have a video for them.
Honestly,
so would you say that would be like your greatest asset with your entrepreneurship, your business?
I think my greatest asset is the staff, and to last this long in any business, you as the vision carrier, I think you need to be able to share your vision and not try to be a transformational leader, because the minute you say, I want to transform everybody, eventually there'll be that resistance. Okay, and then you'll be saying, or maybe they don't understand your vision. Then you'll be saying, oh, they're resistant to change or something like that. So I try as much as possible to be a communicative leader. And then also what I've done is I try and share the burden with my staff. And when I say that I owe this to my staff, there are days, I will not lie, I have felt like just throwing in the towel. I've just said, you know what, I've had enough. But then you find that your staff are the ones who actually hold you and encourage you and say, when they call you madam, madam, just hang in there, we'll be okay, Even in the face of competition, you find that, you see, in our industry, the minute, because it's all about, like the relationship with your staff, with your hairdresser or a barber, you know what happens. The minute the barber leaves, everybody
follows the barber, yeah.
And that takes away, it has a huge impact on the turnover, okay? But when you have that relationship, when you treat them like human beings, and especially my industry is very fickle. People have this tendency of treating hairdressers like they're just uneducated.
Oh, yeah?
And I always tell them, ask them, because I always have meetings with my staff. And I always tell them, you have to be proud of your trade. You have to be proud of your industry. I always tell them, I said, I'm a hairdresser by profession, and I have a master's. And I'm very proud to scrub somebody's dandruff, because that dandruff is putting food on my table. So I always, and then sometimes you find that, they feel they're too big. In our industry, we've got hierarchies as well, eh? Oh no, we do have hierarchies. We have the cleaner, the one who just shampoos your hair, then the one who just does your roller setting, and the ones who do Caucasian hair. Those are them.
Okay. Those are
the us. So you see, I always tell my staff when I'm sitting with them, and I'm always saying, listen guys, because you find some of them, and it's this problem is across our industry. Okay. They don't even want to sweep the floor. And I would tell them, if you come into my salon, you will find me sweeping the salon. And I would tell them, say, guys, there's nothing wrong with you sweeping the floor. I sweep the floor, like on Fridays, for example, if it's busy, I would sweep the floor. And then at 19 hours, I will be sitting there reading the news to the nation. And I would tell them, on my forehead, it's not written, I swept the floor. In the meantime, in their account, there's king money. You see what I mean?
What matters,
so, but also, I think it's time, I believe that it's time that people started respecting us as hairdressers, so that, we obviously it has to come with skills.
You bring pride to the trade. Eh?
Yeah, and look, let's look at it, Peter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yourself, up to the highest person, you need a hairdresser.
Yes, that is true.
So why then should you look down on them?
Okay.
This is the reason why I'm so passionate about training, that we need to have these skills.
So your staff actually, like when you get them, you train them
I
yourself?
try and refine them.
Okay.
Not necessarily, maybe the refine is the wrong word. I try and give them my vision. You've got to be professional. And I think that's what made us different. Because what I did is I brought in what I learned in the UK. Obviously, now because they become attractive to other employers.
Oh, yeah.
And I did try to have them trained. I would send them off to South Africa. But the problem that we have also here in Zambia, the minute somebody does that, you become attractive to somebody else.
In South Africa.
And off they go. So I just made a conscious decision. I will train you, but I will not send you anywhere else. I will give you paid leave. Take yourself to South Africa if you want and go and do the training. But in all fairness, I think the only way we're going to have respect for our industry, people like yourselves can respect us, hairdressers, and you stop thinking that we are just like nobodies and it's for dropouts. We need to have proper schools so that they can go home and say, I have a skill, I have a certificate. Because there's so much talent in Zambia. But the problem is they don't have that certificate. I hope one day, now I'm pitching, I hope one day that I can fill up that gap and that space of, setting up a school, and so that people can feel proud about their trade.
Awesome. And just you saying you hope one day you may do something further. I was wondering what plans do you have like further? Like maybe do you give like mentorships or like show people like how you progressed?
With the hairdressing, I've just put that one on hold because sometimes something just takes its toll on you. You try and evolve, and I think we've evolved so many times because very quickly, even if you're going to talk about differentiation, that also has at some point competition catches up. Okay, so you've got to do something different. You've got to try and evolve. So right now, if you go in town, I can proudly say we're one of the best when it comes to short hair. So that's what we're now trying to do. So everybody, you see someone with short hair, they've gone to Namel's. Very soon, everybody's going to come and they'll know what to do and how we're doing it. All right. So again, we'll have to evolve. This is where you, as a vision carrier, and the relationship you have with your staff. But with regards to what I'm doing with mentorship, I love to talk. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Clearly.
Yeah, I know. And I'm always being told that I have so much talk time in my mouth. So I love to talk. I love to teach.
Okay.
I love to share knowledge. I am not shy. I am not embarrassed to share what I know. So what I do occasionally is, because I'm very passionate about newscasting.
Okay.
This is why I did it more or less close to pro bono for almost 22 years.
Oh, okay.
The reason is I needed the platform. Okay. Sometimes you've got to be strategic with some of the things that you do, like coming here on Startup Grind.
Okay.
So what I did was I do a lot of mentorship. I try and teach them how to read the news. The reason is, again, I know there'll be schools. We have universities that would teach you how to write your press releases and everything else.
Yes.
And then we have, like, for example, like Unza Radio and Evening Hall, you go like into a lab, you do radio broadcasting. But I'm yet to be corrected, I haven't seen anyone teaching presentation skills. I haven't seen anyone teaching newscasting skills. Okay? So, and yet, when you go, for example, let's say to MultiChoice or one of these organizations, if you go and check on their database, you find that 19 Hours News, for example, ZNBC, when the signal comes, the sig tune comes up, spikes. Reason is everybody's watching. But the minute you make a mistake, you can't pronounce Madagascan president or something like that. It's all over social media. Okay, and then it's, for example, like it's, you find some people say, oh, people are stiff. They need to be, you need to move, because news, you're telling a story.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't have to be stiff. But some of us learned this by watching, not because I went to school. I didn't go to school. Nobody taught me how to read the news, but I know I was a damn good news reader.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she is.
So what I'm saying is that, so now what I'm doing is I work a lot with the American Embassy. So I teach young people. I go to, they usually have like a lab, and then they get students. I tell them how to, present news. What we're trying to do with a colleague and I now is we're trying to go to community radio stations and then just see how we can just share on presentation skills. So that's my mentorship. I try, in fact, I never speak about my private life. The reason is I always tell them it will not add value
to your life.
To our life. So that's a caveat for the next question.
For the next question, because it was coming, eh? But I'm gonna ask it still because you agreed to come to the show. So, what is it like to? Because you said that you joined, you became a newscaster when you were what, 19? About
19, yeah. 19
and then
and
you've been in the public eye like since you were
19.
Like 19 up to now. Like, how do you handle the being a celebrity? Yes, and then you need to like protect your family from from us, really. From the rest of the world. Like, how do you handle that pressure of just having a lot of people have all these expectations, like, of how you should live your life? And
okay, the first sentence I'll say now that I'm 44 is I write my own script for my life.
Well, we should caption that, eh? I write my own script for my life.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is
profound. But that's
okay.
Now that I'm older.
Now that you're older, you
exactly.
realize that.
It's not something that it took me a long time to get to that.
Okay.
When you're 19, and first of all, I know somebody in the audience said celebrity. I'll be very honest with you, and I think people who know me, I don't walk or carry myself like a celebrity, because I always told myself it is just a job. And I think maybe that's where I've suffered from all this, social abuse and everything else, is because probably I just live. I just do whatever it is that I want to do. I don't hide or walk under the shadows. I don't, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just Namakau. I feel pain like you.
Oh yeah?
See, when you're 19, yes. So even when you write nonsense about me, I also feel the pain. I won't let it get to me now. Okay. But you see, at the time you feel it. And all these people, this is what I always say, it is so sad that people believe that they can hide behind, a phone or a laptop and trash someone else's life. Forgetting that person, like in my case, I have a 17-year-old daughter who's obviously on social media, okay? Why should she be subjected to reading whatever it is about, about her mother? And probably what I'm doing is no less than what you also do. The only problem is that people just don't know that you're doing it.
Yeah, not yet for me though.
So when you're 19, nobody, and these are some of the conversations that I now have with young people.
Okay.
When you're 19 and you get on TV, and for me, if you ask my friends from the convent school which I went to in Kabwe, I knew I was going to be on TV. I always wanted to be on TV, reading the news, that sort of thing. I didn't know what came with it. Okay? I did not know. Nobody tells you. And even when I went to ZNBC, nobody told me that this is what's going to come. You're going to be this famous. You will have 3-4 cars lining up waiting for you.
Okay.
So, okay, what I'm saying is nobody tells you those things. Now that you're this old, you're able to tell young people. So over the years, I now realize I need to protect my family. This is why, for example, you go on my social media page, Facebook, you will not find my children, you will not find my husband, because it is not necessary for me. I'm the one who chose to be in the public eye. And I've grown up in the public eye 19 is young.
Yeah, it is.
I have been married on TV. I have been divorced on TV. I have been married on TV. I have literally lived my life in the public. And I've just simply said the only way I can survive and live is if I just live by my own script and let just God be the director. Nobody else.
Okay, caption that too. Write my own script and let God be the director.
That's the only way.
Lights, camera, action.
Otherwise you can't survive. It's very difficult. You've got to protect your loved ones. You've got to let them make the decision that they want. For example, like my kids are not my friends, on Facebook.
Okay.
My husband is not my friend on Facebook. Let them decide. And if I knew any better at the time, maybe I should just bring this up. I wish at that time when I was growing up, somebody had told me that go onto TV as an individual. When I say an individual, because things happen.
Okay.
Here we are talking. I have no idea what's going to happen next year. So I wish somebody had told me at that time, go there as an individual. Because when you're employed, I remember when I was doing my master's, we were told, when you're employed, you're not employed as Mrs. Chakuti. You are employed as Namakau. Even when you die on your tombstone, it is not written Mrs. It's written Namakau Mukelebai, born on the 15th of June 1973. Full stop. So I wish somebody, we could have this conversation. I know for sure I would have just maintained my father's surname.
Wow, that is a lot about identity. Especially in this culture, like for women.
It is.
Yeah. So you have gotten to a point where you have identified yourself as Namakau.
I am Namakau. That's all. I've just simply said I am Namakau, and that will remain constant. That and my phone number, of course.
Wait, how long have you had the same phone number?
For a very long time. Right. Sorry, I know I've digressed, so we'll get back to entrepreneurship.
No, it's fine. Yeah. This is what it's about. Just learning all of the little things that you don't get to hear, So this is amazing that you're able to come out and just share with us younger people and other people as well, so that we know the things that we sign up for.
And also, I think it's important that because fame gets to you, you'll be amazed what television can do for you. You will just walk in there, just knock. There are times when I've called and I've said, hello, this is Namakau. Namakau from ZNBC. Oh, okay.
Wow, just the character shift just
exactly
like that.
Exactly. But it's very, very easy to get lost in the fame. You will sit there, the doors will open. But I always tell young people, get educated. Nothing substitutes education. You want a good life like me? Yes, you've got to work hard, but you have to be educated. Going back to the hairdresser, you want to run your own business? Learn the trade. Get educated. You cannot substitute education. You just can't. So for me, my message with young people is get an education.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Yeah, so formally asking that, what would be some advice that you would give to, say, someone who is starting out, with a business? What advice would you be giving to entrepreneurs?
First of all, make yourself different. The only way you can enter the market is be different. To learn the trade. In fact, first of all, take the risk. That's the first thing. Just dare to dream. Just dream and say, you know what, I want to do this. Okay? And once you've moved from there, then after that, you learn the trade. The reason I'm saying that is right now, I think very recently we had a pronouncement that I think some Arab country is looking for goats.
Goats?
Yes. Goat meat.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, all of us now want to? Goats. Somebody doesn't even know the difference between a sheep and a goat. But you want it to go into goats because everybody's doing goats. Okay? It's the same thing as, because Peter is keeping chickens at home and Peter's making money. Right now, Peter's driving a D4. Oh, I love a D4. Somebody's driving a D4. Okay? Discovery 4. So, from chickens, even I can do it. Namakau she's running a salon.
Yes.
It's very possible. All I'll do is my business plan. It will be based on Namakau's employees. Why? Because you've had a conversation with my staff. They've told you these are the numbers. This is how she's done it and that sort of thing. You have no idea no clue how to run that business. So for me, if a young person is going to come to me, and I've had this chat with young people, I always tell them, first of all, are you interested? Because there's long hours that you put in, It's not like you just get up and voila, the money starts coming in. No. For example, when I started the salon,
Yes.
my daughter was born on the 5th of October.
Oh.
On the 18th of October, I started training my staff at home. I had not even healed. 2 weeks, we started doing the training at my house. On the 26th of October, the child was not even a month. 26th of October, we started the salon. I used to carry my daughter in a little pram, and she'd be there in the salon, and I'm cutting. Why? Because at that time, nobody believed that, this Namakau could actually employ anybody. So the top ones, remember the ones that were cutting Caucasians, who I had done my business plan, the figures and everything else. I knew, okay, if I got these guys, if we made so much, these guys, some of them didn't want to take the risk. So you have to know the trade. And like I said, every time we took a dip, I actually start cutting here. Yes, I'm the boss. So sometimes I look at the money and what's going on, and we need to try this new product.
But you still get down onto the floor.
I get down on the floor. People who've been to my salon, they'll see me cutting hair, they'll see me doing color, and that helps to steady the ship. So meaning that if, for example, you're going to be a farmer and you're going to start growing tomatoes, you're not going to say Johnny na Musonda are the ones who are going to be, growing the tomatoes. You need to know something. I think other concepts work, but from where I'm standing, 17 years later, I believe that is very, very important. And also, is there a gap? Is there a need? How are you going to be different? How are people going to, what is going to make you pull, the clients towards you? Okay?
Okay. So you found your niche and filled it, eh?
I try to say differentiation more like niche.
That is amazing. Well, really thank you for coming out and sharing. Is there any last kind of word you'd like to give to a share? Yeah, just from your heart. I really loved I live by my own script and let God be the director. Yeah.
I think what I would like to share is don't be afraid of making mistakes. Do not be, if you want to do something, don't be afraid to do it. Just learn from that mistake. Doesn't matter what. Because right now the conversation we're having is about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You may be thinking of something. Try it. Don't die and we take you to Memorial Park, we leave you there, and you are sitting on your own there, and you're thinking, I wish I did. Just try it. It may never work, but at least you tried. Just dare to dream and take the risk.
Okay.
I think for me that would be the key message I would tell somebody. Just dare to dream and just try it.
Awesome. That was amazing, eh? Yeah. Well, at this point we'll take some questions.
Gentle questions, I hope.
Some really gentle questions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm also from Kitwe, and I'm happy that you're where you are now. I've heard a lot about your story and how
your name?
My name is Chilumba Machona.
Chilumba, okay.
I own a startup called AgriSave, and our goal is to provide farmers with information and financial support that they need to solve the problems that they face, which is lack of information and financial support in order to grow, maintain, and scale yield. So I am qualified up to level 5 in business IT, and I dropped out before I could get my level 6 just to get hands-on experience, because I started programming when I was 13 when I moved to the DRC. So I barely knew a thing about entrepreneurship until I was with Bongo Hive, and that led me to get to know more about other entrepreneurs and listen. So I have a mentor that sent me a podcast that he's been doing about entrepreneurs across the world and their success stories. So my question to you is, as you've been running your business for quite a long time, what tools do you use to measure your success? And the other question is, for me currently, because I dropped out of school, I'm facing quite a lot of stigma, or I'll call it stigma, as why could you leave school? And I'm sure at the time it was even more difficult for you So I would like to find out what did you use as your personal motivation to follow through what you actually wanted to be? Because probably I could learn from that experience as well. Thank you.
Okay. Probably I'll take that. First of all, congratulations for getting into agriculture. Right now, that's the buzz topic. Everybody, and I think you should stay there. There's a lot of money in agriculture, and I know that the African Development Bank is really encouraging young people to get into agriculture. You've talked about a mentor, and I think this is something I should have talked about as well. I'm glad you have a mentor. It's very, very important to have one, especially when things are not going well. It's always nice to go back to somebody who you can consult. And please don't confuse this with a role model, okay? Have a professional mentor. I have 2 or 3 that I go to and I ask. Measure success. The fact that I'm here 17 years, to me, I think is measurement enough. And the fact that I'm able to evolve, I think, and also the money keeps coming in, that's I believe, I think is how I probably would measure success. Motivation. Chilumba, do not look down on yourself and say, people are looking down on you because you dropped out of school. You're doing something. Why don't you keep at it and prove them wrong by being successful? Because really, look, let's face it, why do we go into business? It's to make money. You're not a charity organization. I always refuse when people say, when young people, I remember when I was on an entrepreneurship program, I think it was I'm trying to remember, it was young people starting up with the CEC. Okay. And the minute somebody said, I asked them, because I was one of the judges, why do you want to start a business? Oh, to help my community. Hey. No.
Community problems.
No. You're who? My community. No. You don't get into business to help your community. You get into business to make money, to help yourself, number one. Then it will translate to everybody else. If I may motivate you, Chilumba, when I started the salon, I only had a diploma. That's all I had. Along the way, and years later, in fact, I was probably because I only got my degree in, I think it was, my son was born in 2011. Yeah, in 2011, so you can imagine. And I only got my master's the other year. So do not look down on yourself and say because you dropped out of school. No, you can still finish. The important thing is finish it. And do one thing and do it properly. So right now you're into agribusiness. Do it and do it properly, because there is a gap. There is a demand for that. So I hope when you walk out of here, you will actually finish it and you will not look down on yourself. You say, drop out. You're not a dropout.
You're an achiever. Yeah, and live by your own script. Thank you for that question, and thank you for the answer. We could have another question.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Alice. I'm in full-time employment, but I won't mention where because I'm not here to promote their business. I also run 3 side hustles business. That's what they call them now. I run an interior decor company called Style My Space. And then I have dog services that I offer. That is if you want your dogs to be walked on Sunday or Saturdays and you are away, or you want them to be fed and you want to go on holidays, we do that. It's called Black Paper. And then I also have house sitting services. You want to go on holiday and you want somebody to come and take care of your house, we provide that as well. So my question to you then is, what advice would you give me for somebody who's in full-time employment and they're running 3 businesses? And just to add on, I'm also doing my master's, so that's a little too much on my plate. So what advice would you give me?
First of all, I would clap for you for daring. I'll keep using that word, for daring, because it means you've dreamt and you've said, I'm going to try it, even if it doesn't work, but at least you tried. My advice to you, Alice, have a solid support base. And now I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about somebody who's going to interpret your vision. Because what's going to happen eventually, and you see some of these services are kind of like personal. Okay, people want to see you. It's like me when I walk into my salon. I know for a fact that the minute I walk in, people say the attitude, my workers, and everybody changes. Everybody's running and that sort of thing, and clients are happy to see me. But it shouldn't be like that. Okay, so for you to be successful, I wouldn't. I know the easy way would have been say, "Oh, you're spreading yourself thin." No. Just make sure you have somebody who's going to run your businesses the way you would want them to run. And then at the end of the day, that it is making financial business sense. If it's not making money, there's no point. Because you're not a charity. Even charity wants to eat.
Wow, that is amazing. Even charity wants to eat, eh? You're not a charity.
No.
Okay, I'm learning that too.
I've been cutting, I remember there's one client whose hair I've been cutting since the salon opened. So I know their children and that sort of thing, So you start building this relationship, and to try and win them off is very difficult. And yes, I know, I'll be very honest with you. For me, having gone away, my business suffered. But when you've been running your business for a very long time, you know when the numbers are not making sense. So even if somebody sends you the toto at the end of the day, you would just say, are you sure? Then people obviously will sit up. You know what I mean? Yes, they have suffered, but the only way, it's not about self-actualization. The only way I was going to feel that self-fulfillment, because I've always wanted to be educated. And I felt that, like the way Chiluma is feeling, I always felt like I had not. When I had the diploma, I said, no, I wasn't meant to have a diploma. I needed to have more. And the one thing about me is I'm always looking at, and I hope somebody can pick this up, I'm always looking at myself 5 years from now. So I'm 44 right now. I'll start looking at people who are 5 years older than me. What are they doing? 10 years from now, who's 10 years older than me? For example, even when I look at politicians, I start thinking, this person must be this old, and they're a member of parliament. So meaning I can also do it. How do I get there? Okay? So those are some of the things that I always look at. 5 years from now, this one is 5 years older. What are they doing? How do I get there? So I think it's, for me, yes, back to your question, my businesses, yes, have suffered. The salon has suffered, I know. But the fact that it is still standing, I give it to my staff because they're able to interpret, they're able to understand my vision. Because at times when I know amongst themselves when they'll be talking, they'll say, madam, she doesn't like this, she doesn't like that, because it means I've been able to tell them, look, this is how I want things to run. Of course, I keep going back. I want to believe that even Sir Richard Branson, once in a while he goes to all these virgin businesses of his and just has a look. It'd be nice to hear from one of my colleagues' bio if that is true, whether I'm lying on that, I have no idea, because he's from the UK, so he should know better. I want to believe that these people, despite having all these multiple businesses, somehow they go there and just check. But they need to be able to stand on their own. They shouldn't be able to depend on you. Right now, I want to push the agenda of the public relations consultancy firm, the agency. So the salon just has to take the back. It has to now be, in the back. And it is successful. I know the turnover. I know the turnover on a Monday. I know the turnover on a Saturday. I know the turnover on a Sunday. So even if you wanted to fiddle, it won't work because you know your business that long. So for you guys who've actually from work full-time job, it means you have to work twice as hard because you've got to put in the hours. At least you're doing a doggy one, so it's okay. The doggy will move on a Saturday and a Sunday or something like that. But can you imagine if you had to do, like say, consultancy, you'd have to work throughout the night. That is commendable. The idea is, guys, here, all I'm saying is just get into there. And, okay, no, I won't interview. I won't ask. No, what I wanted to say is, I've had this question before, and I want to say it candidly. Okay. The question I've always been asked is, you were lucky you had somebody to help you start the business. Yes, it's true. I had someone to help me start a business. Some of you might be also lucky to help you start the business, okay? But let's assume there's somebody who doesn't have someone to help them finance that business. Okay. This is where, for me, I believe education is important. Meaning you need to be able to know who is out there who can fund me. Who is out there who can help me do, because you see, no one is going to trust anybody with money. There's no way. Even if I was an agent or I was a microfinancing, whatever it is, I'm not just going to give you Peter because you're Peter. It must make business sense. So people, first of all, I think the schools need to teach business as well. Two, we need to have mentors. You need to go to people and ask them. And there are so many. I know, for example, CEC, I know there's things like Namakau Zambia. There are so many organizations that are out there to help young people to start. Just go. Make sure it makes sense. Just go. Not because you want to sell goats and you don't even know the difference between a goat and a sheep.
Okay. So where do you think many entrepreneurs fail then?
Sorry?
So where do you think people fail then? Like in their businesses?
Financial discipline. I think it's very key. Financial discipline is very, very important. You've got to deny yourself the pleasure. At some point, just deny yourself pleasure so that you can enjoy at a later point. The problem that I have seen is, probably in my case, I was lucky I was married to an accountant. So there was no way we're going to spend money like that. Okay? But I learned that. That's another thing, is I always learn from people. The problem is we want to spend, we've made 10,000 kwacha, instantly everything changes. Okay?
Chadi.
You know, you are driving this car, you're going to do this, and there's nothing wrong with that, but within measure, put it back. I've also been a victim. I won't lie. I've had situations where I've like, I've got made this money, but you don't know whether that money is going to come back or not. So the important thing is, even if you borrow, and there's nothing wrong with borrowing, by the way. There's absolutely nothing borrow. In fact, if you can even borrow, the better. Use someone else's money, not yours. But just have the discipline to pay it back. You know? So failure, I think, for me, comes in also when you're not involved in the business. And also people don't know vision. Like I keep on saying, vision is very important. Have you interpreted your vision? Have you told your staff, this is where we're going, this is what I want to do? And then having a solid stuff. But if you're on your own, I suppose now the question is, you're on your own at home, so how do you do, how it means probably you didn't do your market research. You have to research. Is there a need for a doggy walk? If there is, then you will succeed. But if there isn't, at some point, someone else is going to come in. How will you beat that competition? Because with time, people start knowing what you're doing. And right now I'm thinking, okay, where I live in Chawama Extension, I think we need a doggy service. But I think, look, on a serious note, you cannot just win off your business. You've got to be involved. The problem is we set up for other people. Oh, I've set up the company, so Peter is now going to run. And unless Peter is so good, and Peter knows Peter is going to manage, there's an incentive. You've incentivized for Peter to make sure that company succeeds.
Awesome. Do you have one last question? It's the final one.
I was resisting from asking a question, but just some things prompt me. Basically, what I've seen in Zambia is that many businesses fail to succeed because of so business, trends. People want to do them by themselves. They don't want to share, and I want to put it to you that it has come out into your presentation that to be a good leader, you need to extend your knowledge to your staff or to other people. What value or opportunities come through partnership? Today I could be doing a consultancy, but I'm good with maybe economic issues which can add value to somebody's business. So what opportunities comes with partnerships in business? Thank you.
David, thank you very much for that question. And even when I was preparing for this interview, I was doing a bit of reading. You are so spot on, and we'll probably conclude with his remarks.
Yes.
You are so spot on. Sole trader, the problem with sole trader, you have the sole responsibility of carrying that vision. And ideas dry up. I can tell you that. ideas dry up. If I had gone to a business school, I would have obviously gone into partnership. And it is not too late. When you have someone else coming into your business, and that's the thing about Zambians. Yes, David, you're so right. We are so scared. I don't know whether we don't trust each other.
Yeah.
Somebody should do a thesis on that. But we are so scared of having a partner. We want to do it ourselves. And for me, this is why I'm trying to win off. Of course, if somebody wanted to, buy into the salon, I'll be happy, because then it means I can do something else. And some of those principles you're talking about, the opportunities, to answer your questions, the opportunities that come in there is you have fresh ideas. Somebody else will be able to see it from another angle. Some of the decisions I've had to make, like downsizing my shop, reason is because all of a sudden, with the dependence on paying rentals in dollars, and then the dollar went crazy and whatever it is, you run out of ideas. The first thing you want to do is, okay, you know what, I'm going to close. Had I probably had a partner, okay, maybe that partner would have said, let's do this, let's do that. But for you, the easy way out is like, okay, you know what, I'm going to shut down, okay? Then obviously you've got your staff who say, no, ma'am, let's hang in there. This is the same principle that you're talking about, David, that I'm now applying with my PR firm. For me now, yes, I own Ndangwa PR Limited Company. But when there's a project, we have consultants. We feed off each other's energies, okay, and skill set, so that we can deliver. It's no longer a one-man show. The opportunities are there, means you become bigger, you become more dynamic, you're able to offer, and obviously stay in the race for a very long time.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We are really grateful. And thank you to the attendees for coming. We are totally grateful. Yeah. So we've come to the end of the fireside chat. And after this, we get to network some more. And she's said that she's going to grace us with her presence for a little longer, so you can get to meet her and interact with her a bit. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you.